Hi, welcome to the second episode of the Scouting Hot Finds podcast. This is Jason Spangler, the Santeeswapper. I'm your host. I'd like to tell you about a few things that we're going to have on today's show. First off, we're going to talk about a top 10 video that I've created and uploaded to YouTube. Another one of the new things I'm just trying out to see what works in the Boy Scout hobby. I'm also going to tell you about patch trading class that I'm going to be teaching this weekend at my lodge's OA Fall Fellowship, and ask for your advice on some things that I might need to include on that class. Of course, the main focus of the Hot Finds is talking about great live auctions that are on eBay. Just this morning, I published the Scouting Hot Finds newsletter, went out to thousands of collectors in the hobby, and I want to talk about 5 or 6 of those auctions that I think are interesting and worth commenting on. Lastly, I want to talk about a tradery calendar that is in the Friday issue of the Hot Finds. Tell you about some upcoming traderies. We have a question in the Facebook page, just kind of a fun question that I'd like to get you to respond to. A yes or no answer would do. And then lastly, I want to tell you one more feature that you'll find on the Facebook page for the Scouting Hot Finds, and that is the Shop tab. So let me get started with the top 10 video. Anything that you read about multimedia or social media these days says that people really into watching videos. And so what I decided to do was take some of the things I've been doing on the Hot Finds blog and turn that into a video. Instead of using my own voice as kind of narration, I decided just to have some music playing in the background, and I put in there the 10 top-selling scouting items from the last week on eBay, set them to music, had them shake around a little bit, had some captions flying in, just kind of a fun thing, and it only lasts about 2 minutes. I'm going to have a link for that video on the show notes page on scoutinghotfinds.com. So if you get a chance, take a look at it. It's just kind of a fun thing. It's my first stab at this, and I'm sure there'll be many generations of change that'll come once I get some feedback and get more ideas from the listeners. But take a look at that, and I'd love to hear any feedback you have. You might be surprised to know that the top-selling item last week was actually a World Jamboree sign that sold for $3,500. Only had one bid. So that's kind of a strange auction in the category, but it was the top auction, so we've got to give it its credit. Okay, switching gears, like many of you in the fall, I've got scouting weekends planned, and for me, this is one of my favorites. I'm going to the Fall Fellowship for Santee Lodge number 116. I grew up in Santee. I was born in Sumter, South Carolina, and came up through the ranks, was a chapter chief, went on to become lodge chief my senior year in high school. And I still like to go back to my home lodge. I have a lot of friends there. Been a member now for going on 3 decades. So it's just a real part of my scouting experience to go back in whenever I can. But this fall fellowship, I've been asked by the lodge chief and the youth on the executive committee to teach a class that we're going to title Patch Trading 101. I'm going to teach this class. I think it's 3:30 in the afternoon on Saturday in the dining hall. I've got some ideas for things that I want to tell the boys in the class and things that I think are important just from my years of patch trading and going to lots of different events. But I would be curious to know if any of you have any advice. I'm sure that I'm not the first person to teach a class with that topic at a scouting event. Maybe it's been done at a tradery or a conclave. Maybe some of you have a PowerPoint that you'd be willing to share with me, or maybe you have some notes that you wouldn't mind emailing me, and I'd love to get that feedback. I'm not sure how long I have, if the class is 30 minutes or 45 minutes long. Whatever information I get, I'm going to package it up and make it available to whoever would like to see it. And I'm also going to try to videotape my presentation so that I can put it on YouTube as well. A couple reasons for this. One, I know that the boys who are going to be there at the event, some of them will be tied up doing the ordeal. I'm pretty sure there'll be a brotherhood boards going on during that time, so I didn't want the boys who were present at the event but not able to attend to totally miss out on the information in case they were interested. And then also, I'm not afraid to make a fool of myself and put something on the internet and let the whole world see it, so I'll do that. And hopefully it will be, I know it won't be professional, but hopefully it will not be completely laughable, and maybe somebody can use it and get some help from it. So anyways, we'll try that, and probably by Sunday evening or Monday, I'll get that put on the internet, on the YouTube, and then have a link for it in Tuesday's email. Okay, the Scouting Hot Finds is all about live auctions, and so now I want to take you to the Friday morning edition that came out this morning. There are a few auctions that I think are pretty noteworthy that I'd like to talk about. All of the auctions that I'm going to talk about here in the next few minutes, on the show notes, you're going to find links to these. And again, that is at scoutinghotfinds.com. That's where you'll find the show notes. The first one is titled BSA Eagle Scout Hanging Medal Number 1. And the reason why I wanted to mention this is because you often see this in the scouting category. You have a Eagle Scout medal. And for those of you who don't know, there have been a lot of generations of Eagle Scout medals over the years from different manufacturers and different styles and slight variations. And I have to confess, I tend to think that I've been around a little while, but I have a hard time deciphering exactly which Eagle medal is a Rob or all the different styles. And so this seller, this is probably what I would do. He didn't even try. He just said, hanging medal number 1, and he's got a picture of it there ready to go. The medal itself is got a little bit of wear and tear to it. The ribbon is a little dinged up, but he does have some good close-up pictures of it. And I would tell you that if you have an Eagle medal, if you ever want to think about selling it, you really need to take some close-up pictures of the scroll and of the medal itself, especially the back side of the medal, so that the buyers can see what the engravings are on the back, because this really helps them distinguish which variation it is. I'm not going to try to attempt to tell you which one this is, but I will tell you that this auction has 2 bids. It's up to $121, which is a pretty good sum for an Eagle medal. Now, you'll get some Eagle medals that will sell for hundreds and hundreds of dollars if they're some of the rare ones, perhaps from the teens or 20s, something like that. I don't think this one's that old, but it is up to $121, which is pretty respectable. That auction is ending on October 29th, so it's still got some time left in it in case you want to check that out. Okay, another auction to tell you about. There is a prototype listed on eBay right now from Lodge 354, Santee Lodge. I thought this was kind of interesting because you don't often see prototypes listed, and not all lodges even have prototypes if you were to look at their Blue Book listings. The seller says that here we have a pair of mint OA Maya Lodge 354 flaps. The S13 black border was the official Lodge issued flap, and the YS3 white border was a sample patch for those patches. He's got those up. So far, there's just one bid with 9 hours and 25 minutes left, but that one bid is for $125, which is what the minimum bid was. So that's a pretty good thing. You'll see that it's a beautiful looking flap with the trout jumping out of the water. Okay, next, rather than talking about a specific auction, I want to tell you about a specific seller. Seller 127OA. He has got 377 auctions that are live on eBay right now. They're all ending tomorrow. And the reason why I think they're noteworthy, and I want to pass this on to you, is of these 377 auctions, he has set the minimum bid at 99 cents. Now that is pretty good, considering that some of the items he has up are definitely worth a lot more than 99 cents. And there are some bargains to be had. If you were to go through and see the auctions he has, you'd notice that a lot of his OA flaps are still hovering around that 99 cent, either waiting for that first bid, or perhaps they've been bid up to maybe $1.25, but still just bargain prices. I really like when sellers are brave enough to do this and start their auctions off really low. It is a gamble, and I will tell you he'll probably lose out on a few of them. But so far, some of his better auctions are doing pretty good. He has a sash signed by Ian or Goodman, a Vigil sash. He also has a lot of 1975 NOAC items, including the belt buckle and other items. That's doing okay. It's got 11 bids. So the neat thing about this strategy is you tend to see a lot of bids coming in, which I think is sort of the magic of eBay, is the bidding process and seeing people sort of get in those little bidding wars. But again, I think there's some bargains to be had, so I invite you to follow the link on the show notes page to see seller 127OA and see these 377 items he has that are listed for only minimum bid of 99 cents. Okay, wouldn't want you to think that we're just going to talk about the low end. There are some killer OA pieces on eBay right now that are ending today. First among those is a Lodge 311 Coben show. I'm not sure I pronounced that right. I probably should make a blanket statement that you will have to forgive me for all pronunciations of Indian lodge names. Not sure anybody knows them all correctly. There's probably a few of them out there. But Coben Show 311 from the Idaho Panhandle Council. This is the F1 flap. It's got 4 bids so far, and it's up to $2,077 with 21 hours left until it ends on October 29th. We'll tell you there are not many flaps that are selling on eBay today, tomorrow, or last week, or this month for over $2,000. That's a tremendous patch. It's in excellent shape. He has a nice scan of the front and the back. It looks to be just unblemished, mint condition. It's one of those sort of famous flaps that's really hard to get, so that's definitely going to be one to watch. This same seller has had some other good patches on recently. He sold a Lodge 514 Tuba Cha F1 flap last week for $462. So he has had some good stuff up. He doesn't have any other auctions running right now, but I think if I had a $2,000 Lodge flap running, that's probably all I need. I could just bet all my ponies on that and watch that and see how it does. So he's got a good one up and running. Again, I'll have a link for that on the show notes page so that you can see what that's going for. All right, one other killer OA piece that's up and running, and this one actually is ending very soon. I'm not sure that many of you will be able to listen to this show before this one ends. This is a Lodge 345 White Panther F2. Right now it is at $635. It has 6 bids, and it has an hour and 17 minutes left. This flap is from Alabama, and you may or may not know that this lodge changed its name in the 1950s to Koi Hitachi, and the same seller has a lot of other patches from Lodge 345 Koi Hitachi. He's also got a neckerchief that is doing really well. It's up to $172. But all of these auctions are ending very soon, like within the next hour and a half. So if you're listening to this podcast later on Friday, you're not going to be able to see this live, but you might be able to click back on the link and see what this White Panther sold for. One of the neat things about the White Panther flap is that it not only doesn't have a Lodge name on it, it doesn't even have the Lodge number. So it's one of these old flaps that you see from the 50s where there's no name, no Lodge number, and maybe that's just why it kind of has that mystique. It's got the White Panther with the red eye. Of course, it's cut edge. It's really a beautiful looking flap. He's got a scan of the front and the back. You see that gauze back on the back of it. Looks pretty sweet. So that's a good one. I don't know that that's going to be in my my bidding box. I'm not going to be swinging for that fence, but that's a pretty good looking flap. Now, just for fun, when I was investigating this seller, his name is Skeeter_558. I noticed there was one listing he had that I was interested in bidding in. And so just for kicks, I thought, well, why don't I just bid on this auction live during the show? I'm not sure that I'm going to be doing that every time, but just for fun, it might be interesting to bid since this is a show about eBay and scouting hot finds. So the one I'm going to bid on is he has a 1990 NOAC OA 75th anniversary. It's a lot, basically, of items from the 1990 NOAC. It's got the neckerchief, the patch with a loop, which would have been given to the delegates, jacket patch, staff patch, a couple of other items. The thing that drew my mind, though, reason why I want to bid on this is he also has the 1990 arrow ribbon that scouts could earn during 1990, the 75th anniversary of the Order of the Arrow. And while that ribbon didn't really come out at the NOAC, you would have earned that in your lodge and been awarded it in your lodge. I have seen that particular ribbon sell for a pretty penny on eBay. I've seen them go for $20, $30, maybe even more than that on eBay. And right now, this auction, the minimum bid is $45, and nobody's bid. So I'm going to try to be clever, put in my bid of $45, hoping nobody else is watching this. We'll see if they are. I'll get beat. But right now, 0 bids, 1 hour and 15 minutes to go. So while we're live on the air, I'm going to type in my bid of $45, place the bid, confirm the bid, and there you go. You're the first bidder. Hope you win. All right. Thank you. So we'll see. I don't know. I think that if I got that lot, I think I probably could sell the arrow ribbon for $25, $30, recoup most of my money, and then I'd still have a complete set of 1990 NOAC items, including the participation pin. There's a lot of good stuff in there. Not that it's rare stuff, but I think that arrow ribbon would be the find, would be the reason why I would go for that. So we'll see. I don't know. Okay, one more auction I want to tell you about that is in the Friday edition of the Scouting Hot Finds, and it's live right now. And that one's kind of unusual. It is a auction for a vintage Made in the USA, Boy Scout official 19-piece Trail Chief Cook Kit in the original box. They got those long 80-character titles now on eBay, so sometimes sellers like to fill it up and it's hard to read it all out to you. This trail kit is up to $52 with 2 bids, 1 day and 2 hours left. I recently just posted on Scouting Hot Finds about equipment selling on eBay. You wouldn't think that collectors would bid and go after things like canvas tents or equipment or things like this, a cook kit, but oftentimes they do, and this cook kit is kind of neat because you can tell the documentation included inside that it's probably from the 60s. There's paper inside, and in the picture, all the scouts are wearing the garrison caps, which I'm pretty sure would have been from the 60s or possibly maybe even the 50s. The cook kit really looks like it's never been used. Still, of course, has the original box. And so not super sure that's something I would want to bid on and pay all that money for shipping and handling, but it is pretty neat. And maybe if you're, want to relive your childhood a little bit for your family and have that camping gear that you had when you were a kid, that'd be something to go after. I can tell you that when I was in Scouts growing up in the 1980s, my troop used that exact same gear, that same cook kit. I don't think ours was from the 1960s and had stayed in our patrol box all that time, but maybe it had. But you'll recognize that cook kit if you've ever seen it before and used it in your troop. Okay, moving on. One of the things that the Scouting Hot Finds tries to do is to tell you about things going on in the hobby. And in this case, I want to tell you about some traderies that are coming up. If you subscribe to the Scouting Hot Finds newsletter, the Friday issue at the very bottom has a traderie calendar. Basically, the submission guidelines are send me a link or send me the flyer, and I will post it in the Scouting Hot Finds newsletter on Fridays, and I'll run that link every week until your traderie happens. So right now, I've probably got about a dozen traderies in there. The next one that's coming up is October 28th and 29th. So, of course, that's this weekend, and that is the New England Traderie. It's being held in Manchester, New Hampshire, the Camp Carpenter Dining Hall, which is home of the Lawrence L. Lee Scouting Museum and Library. This traderie is only going to be a Friday-Saturday deal, 3 o'clock to 11 on Friday, 8 to 2 on Saturday. Again, the link is in the Friday issue, and you're welcome to go there and check that out. Okay, in case you're not living in New England and can't just jump in the car and rush over to that, you might want to look down the calendar a little bit further to the weekend of November 18th and the 19th. There are 2 different traderies going on. One is the St. Louis Traderie, which is a Friday-Saturday traderie. It's going to be held in St. Louis at Epiphany Catholic Church, Friday from 5 to 11, Saturday from 9 to 1. It's also going to be silent auctions and a live oral auction as well. So you can check out the flyer on that traderie. Also that same weekend, there is a Saturday-only traderie being hosted by Shushuga Lodge number 24. That lodge is in New Jersey, and this traderie is going to happen at Camp Alpine in the John C. Whitehead Dining Hall. It's going to be Saturday from 9 to 3. So if you're interested, if you live anywhere in that part of the country, you might want to take a trip over to this traderie. It's their 16th annual. It might be worth a look. Okay, going to the Facebook page. If you haven't been to the Facebook page, you don't have to be a registered user on Facebook to view this, but I've tried to use Facebook more and more because a lot of collectors are already on there. I forget what the statistics are, if there's 500 million or 600 million people in the world who are members of Facebook. So the Scouting Hot Finds has its own page on Facebook. You can find it at facebook.com/Scouting Hot Finds, which would be all one word. And there you can see pretty much anything that I've got on the internet as far as blog posts, things happening in the forum, these podcasts, videos. I try to post a link to all those things in the Facebook page so that can sort of be the central hub for getting the word out about things, and then also letting people interact. A good example would be that one of my friends in the hobby, Sean Wolmer, posted a link last night to a picture for a camp patch that he would love to get. So he's sort of putting the shout out there, hey, if anyone has a Camp Linstead, Baltimore area patch, let him know. And he's got a picture there, and he's got his email. So, Sean, there's your shout out. If anybody is listening to this, they might have a old felt Camp Lindstedt patch, and they might be willing to send it your way. Well, just for fun, we're going to have a little question on the Facebook page, and this question is going to run for 4 days. Not really a contest so much. There won't be a prize for this. But the question is pretty simple. If you looked on eBay, you'll notice that right now the most expensive item that is a live auction is a Chicago Vigil sash from the 1920s. It's being offered by Scout Patch Auction, TSPA. We've got a interesting little description here. It says, twill vigil sash used by lodges in Chicago and other places in the late 1920s to early 30s. And go on to say that pre-1960 vigil sashes are rarer than most collectors realize. Pre-1940 is a whole league, even scarcer. For one thing, there were very few vigils issued, and they were only issued at national meetings, unlike today, where they are selected and awarded within a lodge. So this is a Vigil Honor sash from the 1920s, and I can honestly say I've never seen one like it. It's pretty unique. Considering that the minimum bid is $12,499, and so what I am asking in the Scouting Hot Finds page on Facebook is, do you think that this is going to sell on eBay? Now, I do have a disclaimer where I say that, of course, it's very possible that this can be sold privately after the auction runs its course. I'm sure that happens oftentimes in our hobby. Not confessing to anything, but I know that it happens. But my question rather is, do you think this is actually going to sell on eBay? And so I'm going to give you two choices. Yes, it's going to find a new home, or no way, that's a lot of money. So to play this, you can just go to that question. You can vote by clicking on either of those buttons, and then you can sort of keep track of what the end result is. And then once this auction ends, which is going to end 4 days from now on November 1st, we will go back and I'll post it, and we'll see what actually happened. So this is just kind of a fun game. I don't think any of you I know of are going to be bidding on this, but certainly there are some big collectors out there who really go after sashes, and this one has a really neat story to it. So check that out. Okay, just one more thing I want to tell you about today, and then while we're in the Facebook page, this is a new feature that I've added. I'm still kind of perfecting it, but it might be something you can look at. On the left-hand side, there's a navigation bar, and I'd like to suggest that you click on the button that says Shop, and it has a little cart there. Once you open up that page, what you will see is a store. This is the store that I maintain that's off eBay. It's found at Santeeswapperstore.com. But one of the apps that I'm using right now takes my inventory and puts it here on the Facebook page. So you can scroll through. There's even a search box if you want to type, say, for example, the name of your camp, the name of your council, name of your OA lodge. You could type that in the search box, click search, and it would pull up anything that I have in my store that matches those terms. You can use the Buy It Now buttons to go right in and purchase items. You can pay with check, money order, PayPal. Not like eBay where I discourage paper payments. That would be fine and would be actually preferred. It'd be nice not to pay PayPal fees once in a while. I've got probably, I think, 2,700 items in the store, and so you can check that out. And so far, I haven't sold anything from this store. I just got it up and running. So I'll make a special offer to you. Only listeners of the podcast are going to know this. I'm not going to put this in print anywhere. But for anybody who's listening to the podcast who goes in and buys anything, I will give you free shipping from now until the end of the month, October, on anything that's bought through this shop tab. If you go through the store, it may not configure that. It won't come up and say, hey, free shipping, but you can just email me and I'll be glad to give you that discount. So anyways, free shipping in order to get you to maybe take a look at the items in the shop tab. The Scouting Hot Finds is all about the newsletter. So if you do not subscribe to the newsletter, I would invite you to do that. It comes out 3 times a week on Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday mornings. And the Hot Finds newsletter is all about the best live auctions on eBay. If you are not a subscriber and you would like to subscribe, several of my websites have a convenient button that would allow you to do that. On the Facebook page, there's a tab that says Join My List. You can click on that, and it would allow you to sign up. On scoutinghotfinds.com, there's a link in the top right-hand corner that will allow you to subscribe to the newsletter. So, again, I encourage you to do that. That's about all we have left for today. I want to go ahead and close it out, and we will try to come back Sunday afternoon and have another show. Until then, thanks very much.